You there?
Take two.
All right. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, you froze up. I was blabbering and I realized you weren't moving.
Yeah, it froze on this end too.
Yeah. Well, take two. Episode 157, 4:17 p.m. Eastern Time. August 4:18 p.m. Eastern Time. August 10th, 2020. Paul Whitcomb. I am sick as shit still and chomping at the bit to not be sick. Hopefully don't have the Rona. And third test, who knows? Third test is a charm. My boss texted me and she asked me for a status report. So I told her I was glued to the toilet. And she said that was TMI. I said, don't ask for a status report if you don't want one. So
hey, it is what it is, baby.
You got the portal behind you.
I do have a portal into the next universe behind me.
Give it a wiggle.
Because my computer's stuck on widescreen.
Can you give the portal a wiggle?
Yeah. I can wiggle my portal for you a little bit. Oh, and then it collapsed.
But it's the portal technology is it's understood. There you can see. Because before it just looked like a really good poster. But now
you're right, but now you've seen that it's not that. It's
all an illusion.
Look at that.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. Too bad
what better
stuck on widescreen, huh?
What better segue into SDI?
Exactly.
That was my initiative. Advanced technology that works most of the time.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
That is not Star Wars, though. It's Star Trek, but
yeah,
as close as I could come on short notice.
Hey, we got to work around copyrights, right?
Right.
I didn't realize that Reagan actually used some like Star Wars like quotes when pitching SDI in the news. He'd be like, he's like, not to borrow from, but we have the Force on our side. And it's but it's kind of, I said yesterday, because I just did like a solo rant, but I don't know why I never looked into SDI. I feel like that's right in my wheelhouse, right in my interest zone. And I honestly, before like this past weekend, I'd never really ever looked into it.
It is really interesting. And I remember it because I was there. Obviously, I'm a lot older than you are. And we were in the Cold War, and that was our reality, was the constant struggle with the Soviet Union. And Reagan finally just put it out on the table and said, we're going to have a contest. And that's what he was doing, was essentially spending the Soviet Union into oblivion.
Just took out the fat cock. That's what he did.
That's what he did. Like your brewery.
Yeah, which have not called me back, so no more shout-outs for them. But I'm cheap, but I'm a prostitute. I'm not a whore. So
there is a difference.
There's a difference. One is a businesswoman or man. But yeah. So I never realized just how much of it was completely unfeasible. But I think that's why I never looked into it, is I just assumed the entire thing was a propaganda front. But I never realized just how far a lot of it actually came.
Over the years, it actually progressed a long way. That you talk about hitting a bullet with a bullet.
Yeah.
And conceptually that we can get our brains around that, but it was considerably more difficult than that.
Yeah. Because
in order to hit a bullet with a bullet, the two people shooting guns have to be within visual range of each other, not on opposite sides of the globe.
Over the horizon. And not only that, it's much more like shooting all the shotgun fragments with another shotgun fragment. That's what it was.
Yes. You know, the funny thing is, though, there are artifacts from World War I and other wars of bullets that actually hit other bullets.
Yeah, that is true.
You can find those if you look for them. So it can be done maybe by accident, but that's why they come up with the smart pebbles concept.
Yeah, brilliant pebbles.
Brilliant pebbles. Yeah, smart pebbles couldn't quite break it. Sounds like a breakfast cereal.
Yeah, smart pebbles. Brilliant pebbles. Yeah, that's the brand name.
That's the brand we needed.
Yeah, but there are bullets connected, in museums and stuff. There's one from World War I where it's 3 bullets.
Wow.
It's two hit and then one pierced the side of one of them.
Imagine there being that many bullets in the air
Well,
that
that's what
they
it was.
are hitting each other.
It was just fucking volume.
Wow.
Dude, it's in Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. He talks about, I think I said this to you in one episode. They talk about, like, Winston Churchill writes about it in his journals. Drum roll fire, where there's so many artillery pieces going off in short succession that it just sounds like because there's just thousands of these pieces. But then at the really big battles, they described it as the ocean, where there was no individual pop. It was just a general roar, which is insane.
Like Chicago on your average Sunday night.
Or now, aren't there some riots going on now?
Oh, it's bad.
Really?
They closed. Chicago is, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Chicago is the Loop is the central area where all the businesses are, and it's defined by inside the railroad tracks, the elevated train. And there's a river that goes around it. So to get into downtown Chicago, you have to cross the Chicago River.
Okay.
And early this morning, the police pulled up all the bridges, shut downtown Chicago off completely to traffic. You could not get in or out.
Wow.
The looters drove in there with trucks and cars and smashed windows, and you didn't see it on the media because it doesn't fit their narrative.
No.
But the police department put out a bulletin that downtown Chicago is shut down. Think about that.
So this was in response to the riots or the looters?
No, there was a shooting on Saturday night.
What set it off? Yeah, today's Monday. I'm completely in the dark.
There was a shooting in Inglewood, which is a real scary neighborhood on the south side of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
A young man was involved in some kind of a crime. The police chased after him. He turned and fired on the police.
Oh, it's a smart move.
And they shot him and killed him. So this riot breaks out in response. Black Lives Matter tweeted out like 2 a.m. You can't protect black youth. This is what you get. And the downtown Chicago is just littered with broken glass. And there was all kinds of people that worked down there talking about how they were trying to get at work. And the rioters were banging on cars and blocking traffic. Even Mayor Lightfoot finally came out and said, this is unacceptable.
Yeah, what the fuck? You can't just blanket justify everything as oppression.
No.
You can't. You shot at the cops. You're going to be shot. It would never happen to a white man. Fuck off. Yes, it would. You want to take that bet? You give me $1 million. If I don't get shot, I'll owe you $1 million. No one would take that bet because they know damn well if I pulled out a revolver, I'd get one between the eyes.
Right. But it's an excuse now. It's not about black lives anymore.
And it sucks because it did start as a legitimate, at least I believe it did start as a legitimate civil movement. I think it's been hijacked.
Right. I think you'd find the civil rights leaders would agree with you.
Yeah.
And say this has been hijacked by violent extremists. My father said something very wise, which is pretty normal for him. He said, I really don't know who to hope for in this election because if Trump gets elected, this nonsense will never end. And I hadn't thought about that.
It will. It won't ever end. But,
no.
But then what are you supposed to do? Just bend over?
Well, I don't think it'll end if Biden gets elected either, to tell you the truth.
I think it'll just push him more.
I think that's right. Can you imagine a scenario where you give these people something and they say, okay, we're square?
No. We've talked about that before. You and I have talked about that.
Yes.
This beast exists on destruction, cancel, and tearing down. It does not create. A demolition company or just a wrecking ball. It's like if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're a demolition company, you're just going to go from city to city. You're never going to fucking, if you just go, if someone brings you, hires you to come to a lot full of rubble, you're not going to turn ground zero into a World Trade Center. You can only bring down. And that's good when there are things that need to be brought down. But if that is your only capability, you're a black hole. You're not going to fill a black hole up throwing matter into it. Man, I didn't realize black matter. Yeah. But, you can't fill it up. It's a black hole. It will suck everything in.
Well, the problem is if you consider the gravity of this, Tommy. I mean, Chicago, the third largest city in our country, and an international city. I mean, really,
Chicago O'Hare, yeah.
a major city was shut down by these people and their actions last night. You literally could not get in or out of the loop, the central business district, because of these people. It's not. This is not Portland. This is Chicago, and it's happening in New York and L.A. All places, though, with fringe left-wing government in place that let this happen.
Yeah, and don't you just love the argument of when the government does come in to crack down and bring in the heavy fist? You see all these people freaking out. Hey, where are all the 2A gun nuts now? When the government comes in, where are you sticking up against this tyranny?
Right.
One, this is not tyranny. This is a bunch of kids getting spanked that need to get spanked. And two, you've spent the last 4 years calling us neo-Nazi, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, toxic white males.
Right.
In what universe am I ever going to do anything for you? Least of which, take a gun out and defend you. Fuck off. I'm not. You can't. Yeah. I'm not going to go to some other country and start like taking my dick out on the highway. And then when I get arrested, be like, "Where, Uncle Sam, where you at?" Like, you can't do that. We're all the 2A gun nuts. You've been calling us white devils and Nazis for 4 years. I'm not going to lift a finger for you. But that's insane. I didn't know anything about that.
Well, of course, the media doesn't give it much coverage because they don't want to cover it. They don't want that out there.
I haven't seen it. I haven't been at work. I've been sick. I've been at home. So it's not even like I haven't had time. I have not seen it anywhere.
I had to shut off my Sirius radio because even Fox said almost nothing about it, and go to local Chicago radio. And then it was being covered because talk radio, of course, is always the topic of the day. And that's exactly what they're talking about. These talk radio hosts, guy I was talking to had to ride his bike to work and could not find a bridge to get into downtown Chicago. He had to go to 3 different bridges and bike through these looters in order to get to his office.
Jesus Christ. That's insane. It is insane.
Yeah, it's insane. And what are they going to do about it? The Chicago police don't have the backing of this mayor.
No. And that's what's even more fucked is these cops are just being left out high and dry. They're being told, "You're a problem. You can't do, we're not going to support you.
You can't use tear gas. You can't use water cannons. You can't." That's what we need is those big trucks with a water hose guard, the big cannon on there.
Yeah.
They'll straighten it up.
Yeah, that would be some terrible optics. Jesus Christ.
Well, is it better to have the cities of the country burning? That's bad optics too. I guarantee it, if they brought in that fire truck with the hose on it, that would be on the news.
Absolutely it would be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way you got to go. That's the only way you'll get coverage of it.
Someone would get hurt, even though water's not lethal. That's pretty big pressure.
It's there's a website I had never heard of, and I saw it mentioned on some forum, banned.video, BANNED.video.
Banned.video.
Yeah, it's another platform, and they host all the shit that's been kicked off YouTube, but they heavily curate who can upload there. So you have to apply for basically like an upload license.
Okay.
So I sent them a link to this podcast, and I sent them a link of an episode where it's of you and me. And it was the episode was titled Marxist Millennials. And I just said, "Hey, I fucking hate communists. Let me upload there." So maybe that'll work. But that is an upside of all of this. Try to find the silver lining. Is you are seeing more and more use. Their growth is going through the roof. DTube, BitChute, banned video.
Yeah. And there's this Facebook alternative, Parler. Have you seen that?
I have not. But okay.
It's an alternative to Facebook, which is more conservative, and they don't put people in jail or edit people out.
What the fuck is jail?
Facebook jail?
People have gone to
If you
jail for
put
it.
something up there they don't like, they'll suspend your account.
Oh, you mean? I thought you meant Facebook was actually sending people to prison.
Mm-mm.
There's something called Facebook jail.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking retarded. Facebook jail. Jesus Christ. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
isn't that amazing?
The only thing crazier than all the protests and looters going and rioters and loot, I don't even want to give them the decency of protesters. All the rioters and looters is the only thing crazier than all of that is the fact that it's all being omitted. You can't see any of it anywhere online. You can't see in the news. You're seeing the true power of the eye. Yeah, I guess that's the benefit of this is other things will pop up. I mean,
Here's the question I have for you, Tom. How does this play out for you? You see this going on, you find out it's going on, it's being suppressed. Does it help Trump? Does it help Biden? I mean, how does it cut for you?
if you pull it off perfectly, and that never happens, just like SDI, is if you pull it off perfectly, it would help whoever you wanted it to help. But it never does work perfectly. And because it doesn't work perfectly, not only does it not work, let's see how to word this. If it works perfectly, you can, whoever you want, you can put in. If you have a 100% 1984 digital tyranny, if it doesn't work, it doesn't simply fall short of the objective. It has a blowback effect that you press down on this thing and you're trying to push it, but it's like a balloon. It starts blowing out the sides. You went from having something that if you didn't overplay your hand, like with censorship right now, you could still censor like 70, because people only notice censorship when it gets ridiculous. But if you just do
Right.
this like subtle censorship, that's probably been going on for 10, 15 years, but no one ever noticed because it was really, you
Like
never
shadow
really,
banning.
yes, it's just very subtle. But now that they've pushed harder on it, it's people are realizing it, and now other platforms that never would have used to. I mean, I'm sure they all would have risen, but they never would have had a base because there's no need for it. But now it starts with Alex Jones, but now it's just every day, every week, another YouTube channel shut down, conservative voice, Republican this, pro-gun that, think. You are now building up this pool, and you didn't kill them. We're not in China. You didn't take them and put them in a re-education camp. They're still out there. They're still creating content every day, and you've just made them very angry. And if anything, right or wrong, they now have a self-righteous kind of martyr mentality. They're now going to go out harder. And so they're going to go to these platforms that before this or without all this censorship maybe wouldn't have gone to these platforms. But now you have someone like myself that for the first 6 months of my podcast, I only uploaded to YouTube. I don't give a fuck. YouTube, whatever. I'm not being censored. But seeing it now, I'm like, fuck it. There are other platforms that are like, please come post here. Anyone. They just want this thing to grow.
Yeah.
So it used to be I finished uploading and I would just click upload to YouTube. Now it'd take like 2 hours after every episode. And I compress it and put it in different formats. So I can put it on Vimeo, BitChute, DTube. I put it on shit that I never would have before. So to answer your question, I don't think it can be played out perfectly. And therefore, I think it will ultimately help Trump. Or it will help. It doesn't even have to be a Trump. Ultimately, I think it's going to hurt this movement, period. This crazy, and not even liberal. I would say I'm liberal. Most other people would say I'm a conservative Nazi. I'd say I'm pretty liberal, but not you cannot, what is happening today, this isn't liberal. This is they're walking off a cliff so far left. They're coming back around right. So this censorship is only going to hurt that because Trump feeding the koi fish. Trump is an idiot. He dumped, and that comes out that's not at all what happened. All right. Covington kids. This shit happens again and again and again where not only had they not done it at all, it wouldn't have had a negative effect, but they censored and manipulated the story so much that they've been manipulating shit for 50 years, but no one really batted an eye. What is now a common term? Fake news. It went from like a Trump meme to now it's legitimately like, I don't even know what's real. I need to go look at other sources. They now have to deal with that. People used to not go look at other sources. They just, hey, the media said it. It's true. I think it's hurting them irreparably. And they're just tripling down and quadrupling down. I think they're just digging their own grave. Now, I might eat my words. Maybe they pull off the perfect manipulation and digital oppression army, in which case I'll be rounded up and thrown in a gulag, and Paul, you probably will too. So maybe we'll share a cell, but I don't think it's what's going to happen. I think you can only push so far. I mean, when you have a Bush in the White House with a Dick Cheney, fucking Darth Cheney, what is the only natural response? An Obama administration. That's the only, it arises naturally. What was the only natural response to the insanity towards the end of that? Was a Trump administration. I think they're just pushing it even farther.
So the pendulum is being held way out here.
Yeah, I think the pendulum will always go back and forth, but right now I think they're just, it's like a punching bag. It was probably going to come back, but they're just hitting it back out. And it's like, all right, we keep doing this thing? I don't know. I mean, you can only alienate so many people. You can only pad poll numbers so much before you are now driving away people that may have used to be on the left. If they're now getting, their doors and windows punched in and they're just trying to go to fucking work, at a certain point, they're going to go, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I just want my kid to go to school. I want to go to my job. And I don't want to be hit with a 2x4 because I'm white. It's sanity will only put up with insanity for so long. And
I hope you're right about that. I think you're right, but I don't think these people care. I really don't think they care. I don't think they're for Biden or anything other than anarchy.
I think they're opportunists.
Yeah.
I don't think they're political revolutionaries. I think some are, and some are maybe swept up in it. I think a lot of people are just like, chips are down, I'm gonna get mine.
Well, the people downtown in Chicago last night were reports of U-Hauls being driven down there to load up with looted goods. So this is the Magnificent Mile, not just the Loop, but the Magnificent Mile, one of the world's most exclusive shopping districts.
Okay.
People pulling up with U-Hauls. That's crazy.
So what you're going to have next is now a bunch of companies are just going to start leaving, because if the mayor, if they won't bring in the proper forces to hold this back, private companies, baby, they don't give a fuck. They'll say, I'm out of here.
Right.
And that is how you'll get change, because now you're going to start hitting pockets of a bunch of wealthy people who don't like having their pockets hit. And they're going to go, okay, these protests, these were good political chips. These had brownie points for a while. But now Tesla's leaving. Now Apple shut down their store.
The Apple store was obliterated last night.
It was the Tesla store or the Tesla dealership.
Yeah.
You're going to start hitting the pockets of a bunch of people who now their real estate prices are going down. These people that are probably laundering money to hold $100 million penthouse. Now that $100 million penthouse is only worth $20 million. That's how these people aren't going to go out protesting. They're going to make quiet donations to the Trump campaign. I mean, that's what's going to happen. It's a natural response. I think the pendulum will go either way. I think it's going to do that forever. It's just.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I just wonder if at some point it doesn't break off.
The pendulum?
Yeah.
How much of this do you think is being fomented by an external source? We might have to push SDI off to another episode because you got me riled up now.
I would say a good portion of it. I mean, this is organized. I don't think that Antifa is necessarily a real nationwide organization, but I think there's somebody taking advantage of it to do this. And like the Black Lives Matter, they didn't necessarily endorse or organize this, but they sure didn't stop it. And they said, this is what you are going to get if you can't protect Black lives. So I think a lot of it is fomented by other opportunists and, George Soros and all that, maybe, but I'm sure the government is looking into it with all the resources they have. I know they've opened a lot of investigations.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, God, like, I don't want to, you have to be very careful about, not you, Paul, I mean, just you in general. You have to be very careful about eating it all up.
Right.
Because you never know what is a government, and I don't mean that in some conspiratorial sense. I just mean the general, known tactics of power consolidation. You have to look at the end goal. What am I rallying for? I'm rallying for a heavy-handed government forced to come in and shut down all these rioters. Well, you just have to take the absolute value of that. You now have me going pro government force. Who does that benefit? That benefits the government. So is this just the end result of a beautifully orchestrated and executed intelligence move? I don't know. But at the same time, man, like, what do? Do you just let them, you just let us be pushed around? I mean, what the fuck? You can't go into cities. At what point do you like discipline the dog? Does the child get spanked? Like, at what point is it just like, all right, fuckface? Like,
Well, you wouldn't remember, and neither would I, but in the 1968 Democratic Convention, there's film of then Mayor Daley of Chicago, ordering the Chicago police to fire with deadly force on arsonists and fire to maim looters with live ammunition.
I'm not against it. I mean,
well, that didn't work out so well at Kent State, though.
No, it did not. No, I'm not actually for that. But how much of it are they probing for a response? Are they probing for a massacre? Because you can use that to push Trump out of the White House.
Make some martyrs, yeah.
Yeah. You got a little.
That's why they're not telling everybody the severity of this rioting and what these people are doing.
Yes. So any crackdown is going to look like whoa, what was that?
Right.
What was me? They want you to imagine that this is some like this is perverting like the name of people like Martin Luther King. This isn't a holding arms like, preaching a nice, walking in a nice suit and like in Christ's name we will work for equality and the character of your soul, not the color of your skin. That's not that, but they're trying to make it look like that. So when someone does crack down on it, it's going to look like you shitting on MLK, but this isn't that. This is bringing in a heavy hand of fucking barbarians, just taking over cities, just opportunists, just shitheads of all colors and creeds.
Stealing, and not stealing to feed their families, stealing high-end luxury merchandise.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, thank God. This is what George Floyd died for. He died for your new iPhone. No, it's a bunch of scum fucks, and this scumbaggery. It is truly unbiased. The scumbaggery, it sees no color. It doesn't care what your genitals are. It is pervading these groups in mass, and it's definitely, man. If Alex Jones wasn't right all those years when he said there's a war on for your mind, it's say what you will about Alex Jones, man. Does this not seem like some InfoWar shit? Some true information war? What is real? What is fucking real?
I don't know. I only know that what happened in Chicago and the scope of it because I listened to the drive time radio guys this morning talking about getting to work 4 and 5 in the morning, 3 in the morning, cutting through all this stuff and how terrifying it was.
I only know about it because of you.
Right. And I bet if you looked it up, you wouldn't find any big details about it.
Maybe now it might be breaking enough. Let's see.
Maybe.
Chicago looting riots. Okay, it's now auto finishing. Aftermath of looting in downtown Chicago. 13 cops injured, 2 people shot, 100 arrested. Damn. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Mayor Chicago Lightfoot, we are coming for you, looters.
Yeah, how scary.
But we will not bring in the National Guard.
Oh, no, we don't need the National Guard, no. Why would we want that? That's fascist.
Looting was coordinated. You know what fucking fascism is? Fascism is beating people with bike locks for their political views.
Right.
I mean, how true is the statement? I disagree with what you say, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it.
It's not really true anymore.
No. Dude, if you want to walk around with a goddamn swastika on your shirt or a hammer and sickle or I hate fucking Canadians, that is your freedom. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get fired. That doesn't mean that everyone's going to stop talking to you and that girls are going to stop fucking you and your friends are going to stop drinking with you. But that is your freedom to do that. It is your freedom to allow natural selection to wipe out your social life. But when we are now taking that away, that is fascism. That is putting your dick in freedom. But it seems too advantageous for. Is it coordinated by the CCP, or is it just taking advantage of it and fomenting it? Because it seems like a lot of movements that we fuck with overseas, we maybe don't start them, we find them, and then we add oxygen to the fire.
If they're doing it, they're a lot better than we are, because look at Hong Kong. There are some demonstrations, but they're largely peaceful, I think. And they're not burning down the central business district. They're not trapping police officers in police stations and setting them on fire.
Well, it's because the CCP took all those people and put them in camps. There are reports of parking garages filled with just people.
Yeah.
Zip-tied people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, is this a U.S. government move? What a brilliant way to advance power consolidation.
I hate to believe that, Tommy. I hate to believe it. But all the stuff that's coming out about what the Justice Department did to the Trump campaign, and that they even used the briefings of candidate Trump to spy on him, I'm not sure I doubt it anymore.
Yeah, it's
pretty horrific. And no one is accountable for it.
That's another thing, though, is it always seems like that's why I'm like 90% for the Trump administration right now. I'm like, bring down the heavy hand on these fuckers. But there's always a part of me that never wants to finish the glass of Kool-Aid, because I don't think that's ever good. So right. I'm keeping like a toe outside. And admittedly, I should probably move towards like a 75-25 or a 50-50. Right now I'm at like a 90-10, where part of me is like, why haven't they really stepped in and shut all? I mean, if we can know that it was bin Laden by 4 p.m. on 9/11/01, how are we here where we still don't know who the funders are of BLM and Antifa? If it seems that they are not just this organic kumbaya singing group, and we must come to conclude that there is an outside power or a broker or a financier, why haven't they been shut down? Why haven't they been shut down? What is it, incompetence? Is I don't think it's that. I think it's negligence. Or is it being complicit? That's why I'm not going balls deep in it. That's why I'm like, why hasn't anything happened? If Trump is as good as he says he is, and you truly believe that these are enemies of America, why haven't you when there's an enemy of America overseas, we flatten them with cruise missiles? We send in the intelligence services. Why haven't these things been shut down, cleaned up, and embarrassed?
We're afraid to even label them as terrorists. When that's what does a terrorist do? A terrorist uses violence for political means, right?
Yeah.
What else is this? But we're afraid to even call it what it is.
I mean, Trump's not. I'll give Trump that.
Yes, but there's not a general consensus.
No, it's Trump saying that. Trump doesn't give a fuck. He'll call it the Chinese flu. He'll call it Wu flu.
Right.
The other night, did you see that briefing with him where someone said, you have all your supporters here and they're in masks, but they're not 6 feet apart? And he said, this is a peaceful protest.
Yes. That's pretty funny.
God damn.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
I
piece of
know.
fruit. Hey, man, your own medicine doesn't taste good, does it?
It's like all the hand wringing about Sturgis in the
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
If those guys were $250,000 paisley wearing dudes on Vespas singing "Give Peace a Chance," they'd be praised as courageous.
It was a bunch of rail thin guys with weak chins and big beards and girlfriends that, they weren't their first choice. Eating granola and saying Bernie or bust. God damn, you'd see a media paint a picture like a goddamn Picasso. Look at these
That's right.
angels
That's right.
fighting for patriotism, fighting for peace. But because it's a bunch of white guys with receding hairlines and big guts and revolvers on their hip riding in on Harleys.
With
Here
tattoos.
comes Trump's brown shirts. Here comes the SA.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right.
It's the I don't know, Paul.
I don't know either, buddy. I'm sorry I have to leave you a little early. We had
No,
some
it's
windows
fine.
blow in
No,
in
dude,
the office. So
you need to head?
yeah, we need to
It's A-okay.
get some boards and board the place up here.
God damn it, Paul.
Bad storm.
God, why didn't you prepare for this?
Oh, I'm okay. It's the other office that happened to.
God damn it, Paul. Well, we still need to do an SDI episode.
We need to return to Star Wars instead of Culture Wars.
Yeah. You go tomorrow? You good tomorrow? Yeah.
What day is tomorrow? Tuesday?
Yeah. Tuesday is your normal day.
Let's have a look here. Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That's the 11th, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
No, I can't do it Tuesday unless we did it at 5:00.
Ooh.
5:00 Central.
Ooh, it's late my time. What about Thursday?
Thursday, I'll be on the road. I'm going to DC.
Damn it, Paul.
Oh no.
I will stay in touch for tomorrow. I'll consider that.
Sounds good.
Goddamn storm.
I know.
Shout out SDI. We hardly knew you. So much juicy information we barely touched on.
Barely touched.
Brilliant pebbles. God damn it. All right. Let's wrap this bitch up. Short and sweet. That's what she said. Paul Whitcomb, episode 157. TPC cut short by a storm that's clearly against free speech because it doesn't like what we're saying. All right, dude. Go fix your windows.
All right.
All right,
Talk
Paul.
to you later.
Take
Bye.
it easy, buddy.